Have you ever struggled with raising your prices? Most yoga teachers struggle with raising their prices quite a bit. One of the reasons why is they feel guilty. Maybe you feel guilty. I felt guilty when I first started doing this, and I struggled with it a lot. Even though I was logically like, I come from a business background, so I was like, oh, yes, I have these costs. But you can't sell yoga or a course or an ebook or a workshop or anything else um, just based on covering your cost. Because if you only cover your cost, how are you going to get the things you need that will bring you even further into the future, right? How will you bring those things forward without resources? Now, there's definitely ways to do it. It's just that obviously with extra resources, doing more things allows you to help more people more easily. So here I want to talk a little bit about how you can mentally and emotionally adjust to raising your prices and defining the value of what you have. Okay, so let's start off with the second part, defining the value of what you have. This is really important, right? Many yoga teachers come from a mindset of I'm going to charge based on cost to deliver, which for yoga classes isn't that much, right? You just show up and have a mat, and maybe you have to cover your transportation costs. But this isn't quite the whole story, whether it's, I mean, that's just for in-person classes, but as soon as you go online, then things start to evolve. Sure, you could do 40-minute classes only on the free Zoom plan. Personally, I think it's worth it to enroll in something like that. But the point being that when you're looking at setting your rates, right, it's cost to deliver something plus the benefit that the other person gets, right? So let me give you an example. If you are really knowledgeable in yoga therapy, you're a certified yoga therapist, and somebody is going to see multiple health practitioners simultaneously, and maybe a little bit unnecessarily, then at that point you could justify charging a higher rate because you will confidently and safely be able to say, hey, as a yoga therapist, I'm qualified to say, you may not need all of these extra services. Consult with those professionals to see if it's time to start scaling back, right? The point here, the underlying concept is that most people are dealing with a lot of problems in their life, right? You have problems, I have problems, right? One thing that I do as a yoga teacher is I'm willing to invest in things that solve problems for me. And I'm willing to spend money to do that because then I usually get my time back and I can spend my time either A, increasing my skills, or B, making sales. And so investing money isn't as much of an issue because that's the mindset that I come from. So when we have this mindset where we're delivering value and we're setting our rates based on the value we deliver and any costs that we can help people stop or minimize because they're working with us. So let me give you an example. If you're spending, I actually have a student, this was a click-through moment for her, breakthrough moment for her, because she was really struggling with this too, right? She was interviewing people to talk about if they were interested in sharing what their journey is like and what's not working for them in the moment and how they can maybe make some changes in their life. Part of this included asking them what they're currently spending their money on and if that's helping their problem or not. So this student was interviewing people who had a little bit of anxiety, were dealing with compulsive shopping, were dealing with, not feeling good enough and constantly just trying to prove themselves. And what this student found out was that the people she interviewed were spending 400 euros per month on random shopping stuff. Not even like, oh, I need this for my business, or I need this for my health, or I need this for my family. Just random stuff, bags, random clothes, random outings, just impulse purchasing, right? Consumer shopping for the sake of feeling good after making the purchase. Obviously, it's temporary, but the point being here that prior to doing these interviews, she was skeptical that she could deliver anything to people, and she was very uncertain about what she could charge, right? Like most teachers, myself included, and she didn't really know where to start, and she wasn't sure how to price her offer. And so once she interviewed people and found out, hey, they're literally throwing away 400 euros a month on bags and shopping and random things that they themselves said they don't need. Now, my student came on one of my calls and she's like, this is amazing. I'm finding out that they're just completely wasting money. And so as a result, me selling something for 500 or 700 or 1,000 is a no-brainer, because as long as I help them spend less, and they do, then investing 1,000 or 700 or 500 is worth it. Let's just go with 1,000. Let's make it 1,200, 1,200 for those of you in Europe who say the full number. So it's 1,000. Let's say that my student decides to sell her course for 1,200, and she's like, I'm gonna help you to stop compulsive shopping. Right? Now, let's just say that the person only wants to reduce that by a little bit. Then we can say, okay, I'm gonna drop down your spending from 400 a month down to 200 a month. And in the next 6 months, as long as you do that with my support, you'll make your money back, right? $200 per month times 6 months equals 1,200. So if she saves 200 and doesn't spend it, then she's earned her money back from the course. Now, a $1,200 or $1,200 deal for the course doesn't seem like that expensive, because immediately in the next 6 months, as long as she keeps working at it, then she's gonna save another $1,200, and again and again and again, right? So here's the thing. This is the second part, right? That's how you set your price, not based on value, but what you're doing for your students, how you're making their life better, especially the things you're helping them to stop suffering from, and preferably reducing their spending on. The more you can help them reduce their spending, the more you can charge, because they can clearly see the gap, right? If you help me reduce these expenses, I'm more willing to invest the money. But the other part that circles around with that is that you, as the teacher, will benefit by continuously self-improving, right? So one thing I've done is I've noticed I feel more and more and more and more confident raising my prices when I keep increasing my skills, right? It's a one-way street, and the relationship is directly correlated. That means that if one goes up, so does the other, right? If one goes down, well, in this case, it's a positive correlation. It's not a negative correlation, but as your skills go up, so does your income. It's an undeniable fact. This is very common in the business world, but I never hear it in the yoga world. Skills pay bills. If you are a yoga teacher and you are struggling to pay your bills, which is a very common thing for most yoga teachers, or you are a yoga teacher and you have a full-time job and you're like, really like the money from my full-time job, but really want to be doing and living and teaching and breathing yoga, but I need the money and group classes just aren't covering it, this is the difference. And let me tell you a second secret that no yoga school is going to tell you, right? I've observed from yoga schools, they are happy to constantly bring you on for another teacher training, right? Of course, I'm not against, increasing your qualifications as a yoga teacher. But here's the thing, at some point, you got to start teaching class. For me, I took my teacher training, immediately jumped into teaching classes, and that I learned a lot by doing that, because it was real world, real people, real classes, my responsibility, and that was a total game changer for me. What I have tried very hard to steer away from is perpetually taking more and more and more teacher trainings, right? Because I noticed it's a cycle. You take a teacher training and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, such a transformation. I see it in my body, I see it in my heart, I see it in my mind, I see it in my voice, I see it everywhere. Beautiful, right? What's the next step? People go, I'm terrified about teaching a class though. You know, that practical exam usually teacher trainings have at the end. Everybody freaks out about that. So they're scared and they don't want to do it. So what's the solution? Of course, another teacher training. Get you the skills you need. Except now you're just learning about all the stuff you didn't know. And now you have this massive balloon of stuff in your head that you're trying to communicate to your students, while making it practical and acceptable at their level, not an RYT 500, 800, 1200 level. And as a result, you're more conscious. I found that I would be more conscious, and I've seen students do this too, are more conscious of all the things of yoga. And so they come through the teacher training, and then again, guess what? After the 500, it's, wow, there's so much. I don't know what to do. I'm scared to start a class. I guess I'll take another teacher training. And this just keeps going and going. And it's crazy because the more teacher trainings you take, especially without at least, I'd say, 1 to 3 years of regular teaching in between, you have no chance of practice, right? So it would be very hard for me to try and show up at a school or a class, teach the content when I haven't really been practicing and delivering it, And that's kind of the reason why I've steered away from taking multiple teacher trainings. I'd like to take another one, but the thing is that to boost your skills, repeatedly taking teacher trainings isn't going to get you as far as you think. And the reason for that is because teaching yoga requires students, and getting students to your class requires marketing. And to deliver on the marketing, usually you need social media. So you need several other skills, not just 500, 900, 1200 hours of teacher training. Those are all important, but without the marketing and the social media and the understanding of how to bring people in to online classes, or even to bring people to in-person classes from online, it's marketing, it's psychology, it's sales. Those are skills that need to be there, and they're not covered in teacher training. So it's something to think about. I would recommend that if you've done a teacher training, one of the best things I did was continue studying other skills. Marketing, business, psychology, sales, all really benefited me. And because of those, because you have that knowledge, right, and the skill, and you've put in the time, you've put in the money, you feel more confident charging reasonable rates that can support your life and enable you to make the transition from job to full-time yoga teacher. So if you'd like to learn how to do that, or if you're ready to take the next step, I've got a free workshop down below. There's no cost to join. Just punch in your email. It'll start right away. And I'll show you how you can use social media, leverage automations without any code, understand the mindset between building a $500 offer like I talked about earlier, and a whole bunch of other stuff that's really going to blow your mind about how you can take your yoga teaching online and actually give it a shot to make it worthwhile and support you financially. All right, so there's lots in there. I'd love for you to check it out. I'll see you inside. Click the link down below.